In May of 1986, I attended my first board meeting with the Mission Society. It was held in Morristown, New Jersey. I was just weeks away from becoming the Society's first full-time director of missionary personnel. But that week I was in New Jersey to meet the people with whom I would be serving for what I assumed would be the next few years. That was actually 27 years ago. I don't recall too many details about that meeting, but one thing stands out vividly in my memory. And that was the moment when Bishop Richard Canfield from Brazil, along with Norival Trindade, a lawyer who directed missions for the church in his area of the country, requested the board of the Mission Society to join them in planting a new movement in the little country of Paraguay. Over the next few months, the leaders of the Mission Society weighed that decision, or that invitation, and it eventually came to the conclusion that the call was really from God, and so they accepted the invitation. The first missionaries who went were not sent by the Mission Society, but were sent from Brazil, Pablo and Claudette Mora and Norival and Ruth Trindade. But they needed help, and we wanted to send people to help them. What they really needed was an experienced church planter who already spoke Spanish. We were only a 2-year-old mission agency, and one thing we didn't have was experienced missionaries who already spoke the language. And I recall praying that God would send such a person to us. Well, one day I got a call from a young man who worked with the U.S. Center for World Mission. His name was Larry Boggin. He wanted to come and see me. When the day came and he arrived at my office, I told him that I'd only known one other person by the last name of Boggin in my life, and that was Austin Boggin. He'd been a missionary in the Far East when I was a child and was one of my boyhood heroes. "Have you ever heard of him?" I said. He smiled and said, "Yeah, he's my dad." Well, I couldn't believe it. I said, "You're kidding me. What's he doing?" He said he's pastoring a church in Alabama, but I think he really wants to go back to South America as a missionary. I learned that Austin, in the years since I had seen him, had served in both Brazil and Chile and spoke fluent Portuguese and Spanish. Well, you know where this story was going. Before long, Austin and Mary applied to and were accepted by the Mission Society and became our first missionaries in Paraguay. In the ensuing years, dozens of other workers from both Brazil and the United States have joined the effort. Churches have been planted, Paraguayan leadership has been raised up. And today the Evangelical Methodist community of Paraguay is a vibrant denomination with thousands of believers and scores of congregations. In fact, between today when I'm recording this message and the time you hear it, I will have been in Paraguay to participate in the church's 25th anniversary celebration on January the 25th. As I reflect back over 25 years of ministry in Paraguay, a number of thoughts and memories fill my heart and mind. I think of the many missionaries who have labored tirelessly to share the good news of Jesus in that country. I'm reminded of times when some of our precious colleagues were faced with life-threatening illnesses and medical situations. I recall driving to a place in Paraguay that was so far from anywhere that I was sure I'd reached the end of the world, only to drive into a little farm, meet the owner, sip tea with him, share the gospel, and then ask if we could buy from him some land to build a church. I remember once preaching in the Toba Indian village. I said a sentence in English, the interpreter repeated it in Spanish, yet another interpreter spoke it in Guarani, which was a language that the Tobas understood. By the time it came back to me, I'd forgotten what my last sentence was. Well, I'm also reminded of many, many churches and hundreds of American Christians who, over the years, have gone on short-term mission trips to Paraguay. Some have assisted with a medical ministry, others built churches or parsonages or schools, or led vacation Bible schools. There were probably times when the missionaries and the volunteers wondered if it was all really worth it. Paraguay's been a difficult field. It's not the easiest place we've ever worked. But today, as the church there celebrates a quarter of a century of ministry, I'm just grateful to God. Grateful for the many who have prayed and given and served, and grateful for His faithfulness. Jesus has fulfilled His promise to be with them always. He has demonstrated His power to heal and to save, and He has built His church. I'm also grateful for each of you who, through your prayers, your encouragement, your service, and your gifts, have made it possible for us to say yes to invitations like the one we received 27 years ago in Morristown, New Jersey. Your faithful partnership has made our yes possible, and I, for one, am deeply grateful to you.